What's good, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Real Talk with Rich, Father's Day edition. It's your boy Rich. We in the building. Got the Dr. Wizard in the background. Derek is in the building. So I want to shout out to the Black Superheroes Forever fam, Black Comic Lords fam. Want to say what up to the chat. What's going on? Frustrated. I see you in the building. I want to thank everybody that is joining us on tonight. We're going to have a good show. We'll talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we're going to make it happen. As for yours truly, like I always like to say, I'm good. I'm better than I deserve. So that's what's up, man. So anyway, happy Father's Day. What's going on, Dion? Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful people out there, all you good fathers out there, all you men. I got to say that. I know there's a lot of people doing double duty, but happy Father's Day to all the men who are fathers, who are father figures, who are a presence in the life of young people. I salute you, and that's what's up. So anyway, don't go and not delay the time. Got a lot to get to. So right out the gate, I got to get into Black Panther #1. I said even the bad fathers like Black Manther's dad too. Yeah, shout out to Black Man. Right out the gate, though, we got to go on and get into what's happened. You know, a lot of stuff has happened over this past week, but Black Panther fans were finally treated to a new volume of Black Panther. Black Panther #1 came out by Dr. Eve Ewing. First issue, great covers, of course. She did a thing. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I think there was some people on the low trying to hate a little bit because she did such a good job. She was able to pivot from what had transpired in the last run. So I have to prop Dr. Ewing for being able to, like I said in my commentary about the first issue, she had breadcrumbs and she made bread pudding. So I gotta just give her props, man. It was a dope issue. She says, I wonder if this will make people appreciate Ridley's run a little better. I don't know about that. But what I do know is we got new characters. So that's always a good thing. We got new characters, got a new story arc, we have a new perspective on Black Panther. And I'm really going to enjoy where she takes this. And this first, like I said, the first issue was great. And man, I tell you, I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to get into deep dives. That's my favorite cover there. Anybody that knows me as a comic head know that I am #1. I love yellow covers. And #2, I dig Scotty Young's art. That's the Scotty Young variant. That is amazing. I love that book cover. That cover is nice. I got a couple of Scotty Young Black Panther books in my collection. And that one was definitely a welcome addition. And the cool thing about Black Panther variants is there are plenteous and there are available. I went to a couple shops and I saw lots of books on the shelves. Now, I did see a couple shops that had the 1 in 10s variants, and I saw one shop that had a 1 in 25. And they weren't going for major dough. They were going for like $25, $30, I want to say. But I am not a part of the cult of Bast. I am a friend of the cult of Bas. So, I'm not going to buy every cover like my boy O. Shout out to him and my boy Paul. He says, I got the black and purple cover. Yeah, that's a dope cover too. I had to make a decision, man. They wanted $5 for the regular book. I mean, all the books are basically $5, $4.99. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm not going to, I just cannot do it, as much as but I did get this cover here. This is my next to favorite cover. Cover A is okay, but I love this cover here with all the Black Panther characters and art things on them. This, man, sorry for the glare, but this is my second favorite one other than that yellow one. So, and Sierra says it was a great lead. I like how she focused more on Wakanda. And I think that that's what this run is going to have more of. We're going to see more people of Wakanda. So, I mean, like I say, man, I dug it. It was cool. She pivoted the way I think she was supposed to with this run. She didn't try to, cover up some stuff. She didn't try to eliminate some stuff. She fully embraced all the fire that was that dumpster fire we call John Ridley's run. And she did a thing on it, man. So I'm looking forward to where it's going. I dig that we got a new character, Bisa, I think that's her name. She's going to show up in issue 2. That's going to be dope. And we'll see where it goes. So, yeah, shout out to Dr. Ewing doing her thing. The issue was okay, too wordy, but it hit the mark. I mean, again, it wasn't a lot of action and of course that's you have your Black Panther fans that love the lore, and then you got the Black Panther fans that are about that action. So I get it being maybe a little wordy, but at the same time, it's a new issue. You know what I'm saying? I think that she had to talking about Dr. Ewing. I think she really had to focus on getting people to really dig T'Challa, and I think that's where we are. So, I'm hoping that it continues to just take us higher. It's a good setup first issue. Absolutely. I think you couldn't have asked no more than what we got. I think she did her thing, and she didn't really leave any stone unturned in terms of what direction and where things are in Wakanda at the time. So, yo, go get that. Now, McQuillan says, put that back up again. He says, I still think folks will complain if Black Panther doesn't beat someone else. Like I said, there's two kinds of Black Panther fans. There's Black Panther fans that love the lore, and there's Black Panther fans that are about that action. I think we're going to get some of that. You know what I'm saying? The uniform and all, the new garb he's got, so I think he's going to do something. Listen, we know T'Challa's about that life. So I'm just thinking that we'll get that soon enough. But, I want to see where she's taking this. I'm intrigued by where she's going with this. Frustrated Fan Sports says Black Nerd Conspiracies. She had to get the narrative of why he was doing what he was doing. Yeah, and I think that was the thing that when you have a run like that, you have to kind of explain certain things or whatever, and which is what she was supposed to do, because if she had not tied the last run to this run, people would have complained about that. You know what I'm saying? And that's hardcore Black Panther fans. So with all of you continuity Black Panther fans, she pivoted the right way, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I can't wait to get Paul back to see his thoughts on it when he reads it. Paul is over in Europe living his best life with his daughter and his wife. Shout out to my man, the OG, the Don Dada Paul. So yeah, I said, have y'all seen the preview for issue 2? Yes. Yeah. All you had to do is really look at the end of issue 1 to see where they're going. Speaking of that, we're going to get into that a little bit later on, because I like the short cape. Listen, Black Panther with the cape ain't no joke. He bought that life for real. They need to bring the whole cape back. I mean, I'm talking about the cape, the flowing that's over his head. That T'Challa. Let's bring that T'Challa back. Or better yet, let's get that T'Challa that was down in Hell's Kitchen with them pistols. You know what I'm saying? Swinging that iron. Let's get that T'Challa in the building. So, but we'll see, guys. He says, after 2 pages, I need somebody to get punched in the face. Shout out to Herschel. Sierra says, I look forward to the next issue with this new female character and Deathlok. Yeah, that's what's up. Speaking of Deathlok, we're going to get to that later on. New suit, new attitude. That's what's up. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and pivot for a quick second, guys. We all know it's Father's Day, right? And so, again, I said earlier, shout out to all the fathers doing your thing or whatever, right? I hope that the fam was good to you. I hope that you got to chill a little bit. I hope they gave you more than an ugly tie. I hope you got more than an ugly tie. I hope that nobody bought you a tool set. I hope that nobody really reminded you what you're supposed to do. I mean, send your pops or send him to the movies, send him, give him a box of cookies, send him something he can enjoy, not something he's gonna have to work with. Okay, so again, we want to shout out all of the brothers, all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to you. And with that in mind, Black Comic Lord's got something what we want to run right now in salute of our fathers. So we're gonna take this quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with low hanging fruit. Stay tuned. And we back. Yes. Happy Father's Day from the Black Comic Lords. I came up with that idea and concept, and Derek worked his magic for that because I feel like we talk about Black love, we talk about you know Black presence in comics, and fathers are so important. And I wanted to just highlight some fathers in comics and in nerdom that we love and enjoy. You got a chance to see Adam Bashir and his son. Got a chance to see, uh, Captain Cisco and his son, and a few others. And of course, the new Miles movie just came out, Across the Spider-Verse. Miles with his father, and it's just beautiful, man, to see that. So shout out to all the fathers out there, all the guys out there that's doing the doggone thing. Fighting against the narrative, fighting against the stereotypes, fighting against all this crap that they try to pass off as Black manhood. And those who are real Black men know what's up. And so for those of you out there that think otherwise, I feel sorry for you. And I'm going to pray for you. Because here we believe in Black fatherhood. That's what's up. Appreciate you. So anyway, guys, let's get into our section called Low Hanging Fruit. It's a section where we get to talk about the news and things of that nature. And first up is an article on CBR.com. Jon Stewart fights a dangerous villain in DC's new Green Lantern series. So just to give you a heads up, there is a Green Lantern book out right now. Issue 2 just came out. And it's actually Hal Jordan. It's Hal Jordan's book. And let me just say, for the record, that the Green Lantern book the Green Lantern Hal Jordan book is pretty good. It does not suck. Okay. What I'm getting at is you should probably pick that up. If for no other reason, the secondary story that's in the back of that book, which is a Jon Stewart story. This particular article, however, is covering the new Jon Stewart book that's coming out in September. Jon Stewart is about to enter into a new era as he fights a dangerous villain in DC's upcoming Green Lantern series, Green Lantern War Journal. It comes from writer Philip Kennedy Johnson and artist Montos. It'll be out September 2023, and it will see Jon Stewart thrown back into action as he attempts to leave his career as a superhero behind him. The series, which in part is part of the Dawn of DC, which is kind of a prequel to what's going on. So that's why it's important for you to go and get the Green Lantern book that's out now, because this is actually the backstory is actually a prequel to the actual John Stewart run that's coming out in September. You should go get it. The series, which in part is the ongoing Dawn of DC storytelling initiative, follows the recent events of the backup stories featured in the Hal Jordan Green Lantern series, which of course began in May. The publisher said of Green Lantern War Journal that John Stewart's time as Green Lantern has come to an end, so he thinks, and a family tragedy calls him back home. And as he tries to go back and claim the brilliant career he once left behind, he tries to embrace a peaceful post-superhero life. However, things happen. So he's no longer a god anymore. Well, he never was a god, but that's for debate. Shout out to Jeffrey Thorne that gave my man a glow up. But this actually is a kind of like a no, he's not a god anymore. But this is basically taking John Stewart back to his roots, to be honest. The guy that's writing this book is going to focus on his life and his connection to being a Marine. So, I'm gonna tell you, let me just read to you what the narrative on this is going to be like. Okay. It says here that when a terrifying and contagious force with a mysterious connection to O appears on Earth, the last Green Lantern of a new universe comes seeking the only warrior to face this threat and win it. And that's the immortal guardian and builder John Stewart. So I guess he is still immortal, so to speak. But can this brash young Lantern help John discover the qualities that made him one of the greatest Lanterns in the entire multiverse? The writer says this about it. He says the most epic 80s sci-fi action movie you haven't seen is coming, and it's set in the DCU. That's what Montos and I are giving readers. The prologue stories in the back of Green Lantern issues 1 to 3 have a clear sci-fi fantasy feel. But when Green Lantern War Journal drops, it's going to start feeling less like Doom and more like Predator, the Terminator, and Aliens. Sometimes you just need 80s James Cameron, and that's what this is. By the end of the series, readers are going to know exactly who John Stewart is and why he was born to be a Green Lantern. Well, I tell you what, if you're throwing around terms like Predator, Terminator, and Aliens, I'm signing up for that. So, John Stewart, in as far as DC is concerned, is one of their brightest lights, and they have underused him for years. He's in a lot of books, but he's been underused a lot more. In fact, I would dare say that other than Black Lightning, John Stewart doesn't get the love and the shine that he should get just because. But hopefully we'll get that coming up in this article. So understand, this book comes out September 9th, 2023 from DC. So late summer, y'all, we're getting a new John Stewart run, and that's going to be cool. So I'm not sure about Philip Kennedy Johnson. I like his horror, Marvel, zombies, aliens, instead of his superhero, i.e. action comics. Well, I mean, Marquella, we'll see, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't, he talking a big game. You know what I'm saying? He's not, he seems to be very excited about it. And, I think he wants to, get us excited too as well. So we'll see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Again, I think that John Stewart has not gotten the shine that he needs. Jeffrey Thorne, I think, tried to do some things or whatever, and I think he did an incredible job on it, giving us a kind of a trippy, story. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I struggled with the Green Lantern books initially was when they lost their rings. I'm like, what is a Green Lantern without his ring? It doesn't make any sense. But I'm an old head, so grasping my head around there's a Green Lantern Corps without rings because Ola is gone. That was kind of hard for me to kind of like really embrace fully. And I think a lot of Green Lantern fans felt the same way. So I dig Jeffrey Thorne's attempts to give him a glow up, and he did. And it gives John Stewart a brighter look for sure. But I would tell you that in the back of issue number 2 of the Green Lantern book, that there's a full page of John Stewart. That's amazing. That's beautiful. That's worth the price of admission. And again, There's one more issue of this Green Lantern book, the current Green Lantern bookstore, and then in September, that's when Green Lantern War Journal will start. So we'll see. When I think of War Journal, I think of Punisher, and that's pretty violent. And so, if I'm going to see John Stewart do some violent stuff, I'm here for it. I can't front, no doubt. So look forward to that in September. New John Stewart book. Next article is from Screen Rant. Okay. Now, this is for all of my Star Wars heads out there. As you see, the beautiful sister there, Amanda Steinberg, I think she's going to be the star of the new series on Disney Plus called The Acolyte, which is a take on the Sith. We have not had any shows. We barely have comic books on the Sith, but this is going to take the Sith in an interesting direction. Now, all of this is based on what's happening in Star Wars issue number 35 that is going to come out. However, Screen Rant put this out because they wanted us to kind of get an idea of what's going to happen in the series. It says that the ways of the Sith have always been explained to Star Wars fans as essentially being the inverse of the Jedi, implying that the Sith know that they're evil and they just like power it gives them in return. However, during Luke Skywalker's latest encounter with a Sith Lord of old, it seems as though Star Wars is giving the Sith doctrine a new twist. And the timing of it comes right at the precipice of Star Wars' new television series, The Acolyte. The Acolyte is an 8-episode series set to premiere on Disney Plus in 2024, and the show takes place during the end of the High Republic era in the Star Wars mythos before the events of the Skywalker saga. While little is known about the plot, it has been revealed that the show promises to delve deep into the teachings and beliefs of the Sith, as it will attempt to give Star Wars fans better insight to the mindset of a dark side wielder. And so, as someone who has read a few Star Wars books in my time, my favorite Star Wars book trilogy is a trilogy by Drew Karpyshyn. I can't get that guy's name right, but the name of the book or the trilogy is called The Rule of Two, and it's basically about Darth Bane, who is a Sith who started the Rule of Two, one master, one apprentice. And I've always been curious about the Sith because there's not a whole lot. There's actually a lot of written material about the Sith and some comic books about the Sith, but it's actually a deep dive into the Sith. No one's ever done it. This show is supposed to do that. And so from the article, it goes on to talk about how the Sith don't see themselves as evil. They just see themselves as not anti-Jedi. They don't even think about the Jedi. Matter of fact, the Jedi is like a little brother almost. They don't really see themselves in the same light, if I can say it, like no pun intended, as the Jedi. So it should be interesting to see, you know what I'm saying? So y'all check for that when that comes out next year. It says giving a new meaning to the word dark side. Absolutely. Now, as that old Houdini song used to say, when we gonna get to the good part? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know some of y'all tuned in to hear me talk about the Rippaverse. As of this actual Twitter post, which was a few days ago, that number is higher than that at this moment, but Ripper is basically over 1,300,000 in sales for his new book. And, people have asked me, what are my thoughts? What do I think about this? Well, I'm actually happy for the brother. I think that it's dope that he is doing what he's doing, the way he's doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk or discuss his politics or whatever. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just here for the comics. I'm just here for the comics. I'm not here for the politics. I'm not here for all the other stuff. I'm not here for the shade that he's been getting. I'm not here for the slander. I'm just here for the comics. And what I will speak on is simply the comics. Now, I will say this about him. he has cultivated a following based on the fact he has a podcast called For Canon's Sake. Now, don't get it twisted. Eric July is a comic head. I've listened to his podcast. He knows his stuff. He knows Marvel and DC. And he has an issue with Marvel and DC in regards to their writing, the agendas that they are pursuing, and he's been very, very critical of them. He don't like legacy characters, which I know a lot of comic heads, that don't like legacy characters. You know what I'm saying? And again, he has a podcast called For Canon's Sake. And that podcast, a lot of the material on that covers being respectful of the source material. But what happens is his politics kind of cloud out or drown out the message that he's trying to get across sometimes, because that's the one thing about when intersectionality is good only on certain things. Me personally, I keep my lives, separate. I'm the type of kid, I don't want my food to touch. I don't want my peas touching my macaroni and cheese. I don't want my macaroni and cheese messing with my chicken. I don't want my chicken messing with my salad. I want it all separate. I don't want it all touching. But some people rock like that. Some people take everything and they just whip it up into a big goop of mess, and that's how they deal with life, and that's how they live. And I'm not going to simplify or oversimplify that this is what July has done, but in a lot of ways he has done that because he doesn't shy from his political aspirations, his beliefs, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Is he anti-black? Is he a coon? I don't think he is. I'll let people have their own opinions about him. I've done some research on the dude. I like the dude. He's from South Dallas. He's a local cat here in the DFW area. But he politics makes for strange bedfellows. And I tell people, before you quick to criticize a cat like Eric July for having people who are conservative that may like him or identify with him, be careful before you do that, because what happens is you become short-sighted. Because I could tell you to go read Malcolm X Speaks. If you go pick up Malcolm X Speaks, which is a book about Malcolm X's, some of the speeches he gave all of his years, one of these speeches that he gave, he talked about the NOI and the Ku Klux Klan working on getting black people land. The Ku Klux Klan and the Nation of Islam were in cahoots. They were in cahoots. The Klan, yes, the white folk, pointy arrow, cross burning, them dudes were hanging out with the NOI. And he exposed it after he left the nation. Some people think that the Nation of Islam is the most powerful black organization has ever been. But here we got these two different things working together. Because again, politics makes for strange bedfellows, which is why a lot of times I stay away from politics. I think politics should be private. I think politics should be, held should be compartmentalized to a certain degree. Because again, I don't want my worldview or my political beliefs driving someone's attitude toward me or away from me. Dion says, Rippaverse is ripping black indie comic creators a new one, can't deny the success. Let me say something about that, bro. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Every July has basically threw down the gauntlet. And he has, here's the thing about it. He spent his own money. He didn't go out and ask white folks for a bunch of money first. No, he spent about $100 grand of his own cash starting up Rippaverse Comics. He invested in himself, he bet on himself, and he won. Now, again, Eric July is an artist. He's a rap metal artist. Dude is an MC. Dude can spit. Dude's got real talent, okay? He's not some hack playing politics and all that. No, dude's a real guy. He's a real musician. / content creator. He spent nearly a decade, if not over, building his YouTube channel and his following. So he's got a lot of things in place that a lot of creators that are Black content independent creators do not have. And they jealous. A lot of this stuff is, I'm gonna be honest, guys, a lot of it's jealous. All I'm gonna tell y'all is just do better. Look at what he's doing and try to glean something from that and try to make some magic happen for yourself. Because I promise you, you're not going to win trying to make him an enemy or trying to diss what he's doing. Shout out to Black Sands. So, you know what I'm saying? He's got some things going for him. And here's the thing, too. This is the biggest thing, and I'm going to shut up about this. In business, I have a master's degree in business administration. But I tell you, in all of the studies, research, papers I did, all of that good stuff, right? The number one lesson I learned about business, I learned at 16 years old as a stock boy at a Walgreens drugstore. I want you to hear this. I went to college, got a master's degree. I have an undergrad degree in business management. I have an MBA as a master's degree. But the number one lesson that I learned at 16 years old. I didn't have to go to college for this. And it was something that my manager taught me at the time. The customer is always right. The customer is always right. And comics, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is no different. You cannot criticize people that are buying your books. A lot of comic creators have done that. How are you going to criticize me for having an opinion about what you're trying to sell me? And I'm the one with the cash. He who pays the piper calls the tune. The customer is always right. So if you got if your business model is set up where you have these superheroes that you have built decades of growing and whatever, and all of a sudden you want to change and switch certain things, right? And your customer base is like, we ain't checking for that. You might want to try to pull it back in a little bit. Get away from the identity politics. Get away from the artists and creators that want to interject their lifestyles and their thoughts into whatever it is that they're doing. If it doesn't help the story, it's hurting the story. Period. This is what has happened in comics. Eric July is someone that's been very critical. Even though he's a political guy, he doesn't want SJW politics in his comics. I'm kind of the same way. I have no problem with politics being in my comics, but do I have issues with SJW stuff, social justice warrior stuff? Some of that stuff I can't rock with it because some of that stuff is just crazy. It's too far left, and no one wants to be honest about it, but that's what's happened with comics. You have an industry that is literally tanking right now and losing their shirt to manga because it refuses to listen to its customer base. So all of the stuff that Marvel and DC is doing, while it can be admirable, it's not making them sell money. There are corporations right now losing billions because they decided they want to prop up certain agendas. It doesn't work in this industry. Capitalism is capitalism. Buy for one, sell for two. But you can't buy for one, sell for two, and then insult the people that you're trying to sell your stuff to. It doesn't work that way. I didn't make the rules. It is. It's a cold world. Everybody supply their own heat. It gets chilly out here. But that's the truth of the industry. And so Eric July has been someone that has been very adamant about it. He's been adamant about saying, hey, this is trash. And as somebody who's been a comic head for over 40 years, there's a reason why Marvel and DC are making books or making movies based on story arcs 20, 30 years ago. They could not take, literally, listen to me, they can't take nothing that they have put out in the last 10 years and get someone to take it serious. The only exception to that has been Miles Morales. He's an aberration. Okay? That's the truth. Civil War, the Infinity Saga, the situation with Kang, all of those stories are old. Do you think any of this stuff that's being created today are going to be used for movies someday? No. It is not that good. And that's just being real, and that's just being telling the truth about it. Because again, as someone who read comics back in the day, you can kind of look at what's being passed off as good writing today and compare it to what was passed us as good writing as yesterday. It don't even compare. It's just the truth. And so a lot of people are like, you know what? Not buying that because it's just not that good. It's not. Listen, if you don't like Batman, it sucks for you because there's 15 Batman titles. And who you may like it only be one. James says comics should be a form of entertainment escape, not a lecture about what you think I should do. Absolutely. And that's been the problem. I remember listening to a podcast, shout out to my man Amani. And he had a guest on it, and he was talking about, I don't want to read something I'm going through. I want to escape. I want to read a fantastical story. I don't need to be the oppressed black man in a story with white villains. I don't need to see that all the time. And while you can do certain things and it'd be kind of cool, but when you're using those kind of things to drive your story, people are going to miss the point of you even. Because what separates you from being any different? I mean, at the end of the day, the situation with what Ripper did, he took advantage of the sales of comics being down. There are a lot of people who are frustrated, and I'm not going to support it. Here's the guy that thinks like I think, feels the way I feel. I'm going to put his money behind him. And that's what it is. That's what it is. I can't, people get mad and want to call his brother a coon and want to do this, that, the third, or whatever. But all he did was create a black character, a new black character. He's a black man with a new black character, with a black uniform, and got $1.3 million and adding on. Dude was just on Thinking Critical a few days ago. This stuff is real. This is not something. It's not an aberration. I saw somebody try to say something stupid and foolish to say that they think some of the stuff was fabricated. Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. People will buy. If you build it, they will come. It's that simple, but you gotta build it. You gotta build it. This dude has built it. He did the work. We gotta salute that. So I'm not saying you should go out and buy the book. I'm gonna buy the book. I'm gonna get Item number 2. Because I enjoyed Item number 1. And like anybody that does a comic book or whatever, and they did a solid bang up job or whatever, I'm gonna support that. And some people are tripping about the price. I'm like, it's a trade. It's a graphic novel. It's not a floppy. It's a graphic novel. It's literally 100 pages or like 4 or 5 or 6 issues of a comic book. You're getting it all in one bunch. That's the difference, which is why manga is killing comics right now. You get a whole volume of story in one book. They don't have to wait another month to get another story or another piece to the story. You're getting it all up front. And that's where the industry is going in terms of graphic novels and trades. Floppies are going to be a thing of the past. They have been toying with digital for the longest. And all that's been doing is going to set up the whole idea of you're not going to be able to go in long boxes. You're going to have to go to bookshelves and get trades. That's where the industry is going. So he says he has turned his fans into dollars. That's what you're supposed to. Listen, don't knock the hustle. That's all I'm saying. Don't knock the hustle. Dude is doing his thing. I can't do nothing but congratulate him. Then he goes out and he gets Chuck Dixon, OG, legendary Chuck Dixon. Got it is written Batman, Birds of Prey, Batgirl, Punisher. I did a Rich Recommends on Chuck Dixon's book, Code of Honor. He's a Republican. So what? It got nothing to do with his ability to write a story and tell a story. A dope artist is a dope artist. And let me go Michael Jordan on y'all. Republicans buy sneakers too. Okay, let's let's keep it a stack. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That goes to show you how dope Ripper is. He's got old school dudes checking for what he's doing, and he's gonna be writing alpha core for them. So either jump on the train or watch the train go past. But you can't knock the hustle, y'all. You got to get that dude his props. You got to give him his props, man. With that being said, we're going to go to our next story, which is kind of related to this story. 2022 comic book store sales. Boom cycle goes bust. Okay. After 2 years of land office business, it was almost inevitable that a stratospheric rise in comic sales would come back to Earth. And comic sales are now really a mixed bag with three main prongs: new releases, graphic novels, and back issues. New comic sales, however, have taken a beat. This article came out in March of 2023. There are three comic book stores that supply data from different parts of the world. One store is in Florida. One store is in Chicago, and one store is in North Texas or Oak Ridge, Texas. Let's break these numbers down, guys. You want to know what the industry is? I'm going to show you. Phil Boyle of Coliseum Comics. Shout out to Orlando. Shout out to Herschel and Paul's territory. Phil Boyle of Coliseum Comics. They got 12 stores in Florida. Here's the breakdown of his stores. New comics overall are down 3.2%. With that, or within that, DC Comics is down 10.4%. Marvel Comics is down 3%. Image Comics is down 27.1%. Boom Studios is down 28%. Dark Horse Comics is down 25.6%. Indie Comics is down 36.7%. Manga, on the other hand, is up 28%. Back issues is up 7%. And Funko Pops are up 29.4%. Okay? So people are not buying new issues anymore. People are buying back issues. They buying manga. They buying Funko Pops. They playing games in stores. They not buying new comics. That's in Florida. Let's go to John Robinson. Graham Crackers got 13 stores in Chicago. Overwild chain-wide sales is down 4%. Backlist graphic novels is down 10%. New indie comics, everything except Marvel and DC, is down by 5%. And back issues are down only 1%. So people are not going to the shop, or going to the shop less and less. Now let's bring it all the way back to the Lone Star State. Jim King of Space Cadet Collections in Oak Ridge, North Texas. Overall, his sales are down 3.5%. His graphic novels are down 8%. All comics, new and back issues combined. Check this out. All comics, new and back issues combined, down 48%. All items not comics or graphic novels is up 6%. You go into some of these shops, you see that a lot of them have a lot of gaming stuff. Dungeons and Dragons, Magic, all that stuff. People sitting and play games at their tables 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what comic shops are having to do. They're not selling comic books. It is what it is, guys. I bring all of this up in this data for a reason. Now, there's an old saying about when white folks have got a cold, black folks have pneumonia. It is what it is. And so if we're going to support e-viewing, all of these other creators, these independent creators that's doing their thing, whether we're talking about Concrete Comics or whether we're talking about Millennial Comics with Delta Dogs, or whether we're talking about, Advent Comics, whether we're talking to Boom Studios, Image, or whatever it is, we have to pre-order our books. We have to do the things that we can do to make sure that these shops stay afloat. Because shops are closing every year, y'all. Support your favorite current comic book series by pre-order through the final order cutoff date. Subscribe to the pull list. Please, please, please. But don't take my word for it. We're going to get the Honorable Dr. Eve Ewing to tell you, so you guys will know why it's so important. So, Derek, if you will, sir, take us to commercial. We will be back with our spotlight.
Comics are different. Those things cannot be returned if they do not sell. Okay, so that means that if they buy 10 copies of Monica Rambeau Photon and nobody buys it, they eat that money. And your local comic shop is, the margins are very thin, right? Times are hard for everybody. And so what that means is that it gives comic shop owners incentive to be very risk averse, right? And so you could order a bunch of Batman and you know that every month people are going to come in and buy Batman. It's often characters of color, new characters, lesser known characters where they're like, I don't know, this could be good, but if I put this on my shelves and people don't buy it, I lose money. And I'm sympathetic to that. That's a real assessment that they have to make. So the way that we avoid that is you go in and you pre-order. So Paul goes in 3 months before the comic set comes out and says, hello, I would like to pre-order Monica Rambeau Photon #1. I'm not going to wait till it comes out. I'm telling you now that I want it. And at that point, they're like, okay, let me go ahead and order this. And in the comics world, that is the sale that counts. By the time you come into a store and purchase a comic book, that sale does not count. I know it is ridiculous. It is very silly. That is the way it is. The sale that counts is when the store orders it from the distributor. That is what they are counting. And so what that means is that when you go in and you pre-order things, it actually gives that store confidence. Like, okay, Paul said Paul's going to be back and spend his $5 on this book. So we're good. If we order this one, we know it's going to sell and we can pay our rent. We're not going to be eating this cost this month. The best thing to do is your subscription or your pull list where you go in and you say, I want you to put these in every month for me, right? And then they will set that aside in a box.
Message.
Yep, and we're back. So that was the Honorable Dr. Eve Ewing. We did an interview with her earlier this year. Had a wonderful time with her. And take to heart what she said, because that's just how the industry works. If we want her, and I'm going to be honest, if we want her Black Panther run to have a fighting chance at success, we have to pre-order these books. There are shops that will give you a discount. You don't have to pay and go to the shop and grab a book off the shelf that's been picked over. If you get a pull list, that person that works at that shop, take your books, put it aside. It's a 9.8. You don't have to worry about it. Now, when it comes to Marvel, their paper quality can be a little shaky. But the point is, pre-order is very, very important for the industry. And so we're advocates here at Black Comic Lords to do that. If you're going to enjoy this fandom, we want you to maximize not only your savings, but your ability to get these books. Because how many times has something popped and you haven't been able to get it because it wasn't on the shelf? Certain comic book shops won't even order certain books. And it's like, I'm not ordering that because nobody's going to buy it. If they don't think there's the interest generated there, they won't even go nowhere near it. It is what it is, guys. So Sierra says, wait, say that again. When white people do what? Yes, when white folks have a cold, black folks have pneumonia. And that's just the industry. That's America, sweetie. That is just how it is. We got to understand when it comes to comic book, the industry or whatever, our books are not going to be championed. Our books are not going to be, if they're having issues on their side of the track, don't think it doesn't fall down on us as well. It does. Black Panther is probably the most popular comic book as far as Black readership is concerned. Storm as well. However, if we do not support these books, they will get canceled. All you got to do is go back to the early 2000s to see that there were so many books that came out that got canceled. So many runs that started well and they got out the gate. First two issues they did all right, then it dropped off and it fell off a cliff. And comic book industry, when they were interested in making money, it's like, you know what? We're not going to continue printing that. I don't know what they're doing now, but that's the issue that we're having. So, yeah, when white folks have a cold, we have pneumonia. So dress warm. With that being said, we're going to transition to our spotlight. And our spotlight tonight, I wasn't even trying to do this, y'all. I wanted to spotlight Deathlok. Deathlok, which is a legacy character. This iteration of Deathlok, this is the first appearance. That book there, Deathlok, issue number 1, I'm sorry. Written by Dwayne McDuffie. It's the first appearance of Michael Collins. Michael Collins was a pacifist who found himself in the Deathlok machine. You know, basically, Deathlok machine is basically Terminator with a conscience. So, you know, think about the irony of that. You're a pacifist. You believe in peace, love, and happiness and all that good stuff. And yeah, all of a sudden, now you're struggling with the idea that I'm in a killing machine, but I still got my conscience. I'm still human. I'm still going to, you know, live by those principles. And he tries to do that in that run. Now, that book there that you see on the screen, that is part of a 4-issue run or 4-issue mini by Dwayne McDuffie. But Dwayne McDuffie also had a run later on. But I want Derek to go to the next slide. This was so cool when I thought about it. I remembered that this panel was in here. It's Father's Day, y'all. And so Michael Collins is having a talk with his son. And it's one of these cool things that Dwayne McDuffie, the GOAT, loves to do. He likes to, you know, this is what you call writing and being able to interject your thoughts or your passions into your writing without it being just overly burdensome or whatever, or preachy, if you will. He's having this conversation with his son. And, you know, he's giving them some thoughts about what it means to be a hero. But that run, that 4-issue mini is amazing. But I tell you what, if you like that, and I recommend that you go get those 4 issues. I'm gonna show you this. There, I need you to pull me in so I can show everybody these. This 4-issue run. This is the first issue. It's, you know, good quality. So you should be able to find these in the wild, but you should want to get these. It's 4-part. And I mean, again, it's Dwayne McDuffie. Some of Dwayne McDuffie's best work is in this book. This is a legacy character. I know a lot of people don't rock with legacy characters, but because the first Deathlok is a white dude. But he took that and he made it his own. And so, you know, we don't even think about, in our community, we don't even think about that, the other Deathlok. So you should go get that. But Dwayne McDuffie, along with Dennis Cowan, did a run on Deathlok after that as well. Appreciate you, bro. Dwayne McDuffie was the man. That starting with that issue there. The first few story arcs in that book. Matter of fact, one of the story arcs was called The Souls of Cyberfolk, which is a nod to the souls of Negro folk or Black folk. And the writing in that, and, you know, Mystic Knight is in that book. Dr. Doom is in that book. A few others are in that book. Black Panther is in that book. I think issue 25. Moses Magnum is in that book. There's a lot of books in that run. There was 34 issues in that run. Dwayne McDuffie wrote a lion's share of those issues. You should go pick that up. And that's why I spotlight Deathlok. But here's the thing. I wasn't even trying to do that, because when I read Black Panther issue 1, Deathlok is basically I don't know if he's going to be the villain, but he's someone that T'Challa's going to have to deal with. Now, I do not know if this Deathlok that Eve Ewing is writing is Michael Collins. We don't know that. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe Somebody tweet Eve Ewing and ask her. So she says, when I was in the store purchasing my BP, number one overheard some white folks say they didn't like how they made T'Challa in exile. He's a king. How can he not be a king? Yeah, boy, I tell you, white liberals, they something else. Might want to run a disclaimer right now, Derek. Sierra, I blame Sierra. She told me she went there with that. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's what's up, y'all. That's what's up. So, with that being said, we're gonna switch to chat talk. That's the portion of the show where we ask you guys what's on your mind, what you've been reading, what you want to talk about. You know, Black Panther #1 was my favorite issue this week to read, but right behind that was this little ditty here. Waller versus Wildstorm. Bruh, look here. Listen, I know that y'all love Storm. I know y'all I know Tamiko is out there with her Storm flag waving in the wind. Talking about the Hadari Yao. Okay, I get it. But Amanda Waller is that gangster. Bro, look, I'm gonna tell you something. That was a great book. Great book. You please, if you have not picked up Waller versus Wildstorm, this is issue #2. Go get a late pass. Go try to find issue 1 and pick up issue 2 and catch up to this. This is a fantastic book. Absolutely. So yeah, not gonna get into it. Just suffice to say, you need to check this book. Let me tell you something. If DC wanted to shut down their regular division and just do Black Label books, I'm here for it. Because the DC Black Label stuff never fails. It is always fire, regardless of what it is. I promise you, DC Black Label books are the business. So, yeah. Alternative universe, Miles Morales was Deathlok and Jason Aaron's Avengers. Well, Jason Aaron's Avengers has gotten long in the tooth. It's cool, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just, they need some new energy. So I know there's a new Avengers run. T'Challa's in it. So we'll see where that goes, which is weird to me that he's going to have his own book and then he's going to be in the Avengers. So we might see the Avengers in the Black Panther run as well. So we'll see how that goes. So he said, Amanda Waller is the biggest gangster in the DC universe. Yes, sir. You do not play with Amanda Waller. She about that life. For real. So she was giving Michael Crater business. So, yeah. So that's what's up. That's a good read, y'all. So y'all go check that out. So y'all tell me what y'all reading, what y'all think about. This kind of made Deathlok like Robocop and Marvel now. Well, pretty much that's kind of been the direct. They haven't really used Deathlok of late. They've used them in different books or whatever, like an army, so to speak, almost. But I'm glad Eve Ewing picked it up and using the character. I'm hoping she do that with some other characters too. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully they'll let her bring some Ironheart stuff to the table. So, that says Steelwork seems to be lining up John Henry Irons to be looked at as the villain. Sorry if I spoiled it for anyone. No, I don't think you spoiled it, but we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Because basically he's got an idea that he wants to replace the supers. We can't have that. We can't have this Negro replacing us good white folk. We can't do that. No, say it ain't so, DC. Shout out to Steelworks. Oh, Monarch issue 5 was my favorite read this week. Monarch was pretty good. I enjoyed Monarch. Shout out to Rodney Barnes. one of the best writers in comic books today. He is a shining star. I hope he gets the Eisner award um, for Philadelphia. But yeah, Monarch is pretty good. I think we got one more issue with that, and that'll be done. But yeah, so I'm down with Michael doing on Steelwork. Yeah, that's what's up. I like Steelworks too. It was cool. He said I read Steelworks, didn't like it. I don't think I ever liked the character. Unfortunately, I mean, he's different. I mean, he's an acquired taste. It's not something like he's completely unique in that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dion. You got to go back and you got to read the Christopher Priest, Dennis Cowan, Steel stuff. If you really want to kind of connect with the character a little bit more, you got to go back. Man, you got to go to them back issues, bro. You got to go back to those back issues and digging some of that stuff out when Steel was really doing this thing. You got to remember, Steel had a 52 issue run. Okay, people like Steel. People, you know what I'm saying, and that's a character that has been in a lot of books that they have not used. Says I love how we are talking about Steel consistently. Yes, because we had not had a conversation about Steel. Which, by the way, to all of the DC fandom out there, in fact, to the DC brass, it has been over 5 years since we've had a Black Lightning run. And I need you guys to do better, DC. I need Jefferson Pierce on a cover of a book with Black Lightning. And Tony Isabella don't have to write it. You can go and get Brian Edward Hill. I know he's getting ready to write Blade, which comes out in July. But I need that Black Lightning in my life, bro. I need that. I'm going to need y'all to do better by Jefferson Pierce. Original Black character. I'm going to need y'all to do something. Not a legacy character, an original Black character, okay? Y'all make that happen. It has been over 5 years. I'm going to start going Ted Koppel on y'all and start putting up daily time frames. It has been 5 years and 6 months. He says, Sierra says, I love Monarch, but it's kind of blown with the direction of issue 5. We want time. Well, you know, I mean, hey, we need a crazy white boy to do something stupid at the end of every issue. We need that. We need that intrigue. It's like, you know what? I'm going back to pick up issue 5. I got to see what happens with this. So, and of course, he's got a gun in his hand. What's not to love about that trope? So what we got? It says Black Lightning is needed, but I definitely don't need Tony around it. Listen, listen, Tony Isabella, love him, hate him, loathe him, or whatever. You know, I gotta salute. That's my guy. He created my favorite character. But I get what you're saying. I didn't like what he said about Brian Edward Hill when he was writing Batman in the Outsiders. I thought that was, thought it was clown for that. But I just want that character to get a little bit more shine. So Deathverse says, haven't collected with consistency in years. We'll check out the Waller piece. Yeah, please do. Please do. Just please check it out. I mean, I'm saying again, Amanda Waller, well, I won't say she's almost like she's one of the bright spots of the DC universe in that she's almost she is a villain for the most part, but she runs Suicide Squad, one of the more better runs, or one of the better, I would say, story arcs or consistent story pieces is Suicide Squad. You go through these things where, people don't buy certain, or they don't follow certain books, but Suicide Squad has a cult following. And so, that book has been consistently on the shelves. I mean, I can't remember when there wasn't a Suicide Squad book on the shelf. That's how consistent and how good that book has been written over the years, and how good and faithful and consistent the fan base has been. Black Lightning needs a great writer to do the character justice. I 100% agree. I mean, if I had money, if I had I'd give David Walker a call. I'd give David Walker a call. I would give Alex Ross. I'd be like, man, just sign the check and just fill in the O's, do the covers, all the covers, and I would let Alex Ross do the covers. I would even give Jeffrey Thorne a shot. I might even would want to give I'd give Rodney Barnes a shot at it. But we'll see. Since last thing I saw Black Light was the backup story in DC versus Vampires All Out War, and I hated DC versus Now that was an acquired taste. The the um the DC books, DC I've maintained this for the last few years. Has the better stories. But that Knights of Steel, that story arc by Tom Taylor, I think it is, been pretty good. That's a pretty good book. I hate to kill my boy in the second issue though. He says, when will John Stewart, the Emerald Knight #2 come out? Should I tell him, guys, or should y'all tell him? Bison for Life, I don't think that's coming out. I think that was a one shot. John Stewart is actually getting another book in September. There's a backstory. There's a Green Lantern book out right now. It's 2 issues in. There's a backstory in that, and then John Stewart will get a book called Green Lantern War Journal. That'll be his book, and that comes out in September. James says we need more Cyborg, just not just a 5-issue mini. Listen, they're not taking that risk. I think that's the thing about the industry, because the industry is so jacked up now. They're not risking going 4, 5, 6, or going above and beyond that many issues. Now, depending on the book itself, they'll go further. I'll give you an example. World's Finest, written by Mark Waid. Okay, that's Batman Superman. That book is, I think, 15 issues in, and some people think that that's one of the best titles that DC's got. It's a good book, I will say that. I'm a Batman guy, so I can't trip. But you know, that book can get canceled at any moment, but they haven't put a number on it. That's the thing. When it comes to Batman, when it comes to Superman, they're not going to give you 1 of 6 or whatever. They're just going to put a number on it and keep it moving. They'll run it till the wheels fall off. Batman had a title called Urban Legends. That thing went like 18 issues. Thick book, a lot of mini stories in it. But you know, how did it do? I don't know. I mean, at the time it was like 15 Batman titles out. Oh, Static and Anansi, thoughts. Okay, so I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed Static and Anansi. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a bit short, if that makes any sense. I just really remember when I read it, I remember it being a quick read. I remember just like kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I wasn't really, like, me personally, I wasn't really just like overwhelmed with joy and that kind of thing. Like, oh man, I'm excited. No, it wasn't like that for me. It was kind of like, okay, this is cool. I know my man Paul, he loves Anansi as a quote unquote character. And it was good to see him in that book. But will they do something different with him? I don't know. It was an action-packed book, which is cool, but I just thought it was a quick read. He says, Sierra says, I didn't like the end of the book with 1 issue. Yeah, it was just gonna be a 1 issue. And that's the thing. That's kind of what they've been doing. Hitting everybody with these little one shot. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hope to get more. But I mean, at the end of the day, it has to be some intrigue, guys. I mean, it goes back to pre-orders. It goes back to just the idea of, okay, I want this book. But if we don't go to the shop, tell the people, put that on my pull list, they will not over order, or they will not order enough to where it makes it, you know what, this deserves another shot. So we should take this further. They're not going to do that. They're going to just kind of like test the waters and see. And let's just be honest, when it comes to black dollars, fair or unfair, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, look, Tyler Perry went through this for years. He kept telling people, I got a market. My people come see me when I do plays. They come see me when I make movies. Yeah, we'll see. Just kept putting out. Now the dude owns BET and the studio in Atlanta. It is what it is. Behind the scenes, the Spider-Punk is taking over social media. Shout out to all you brand new Spider-Punk fans out there. Now, I will say this. I enjoyed Spider-Punk in the Across the Spider Universe. I think he's a dope character. I enjoyed the 5-issue run that Cody Ziegler did on Spider-Punk. It was pretty cool. If you like alternative uh, stories. You don't have to want to walk in continuity. Some guys are just continuity freaks. Everything's got to be in continuity. I am a what if Elseworlds type of guy. Putting my superheroes in different environments. Let me see what they do. I'm good with it. I don't have every story don't have to line up with this, that, the other. It's not a religion for me. It's a hobby. And my hobby does not have to like follow a streamline or whatever. I just wish comic book companies would be open to doing more things outside of the box than the traditional stuff. But that's just Batman couldn't save Flash box office. So okay. Now I did not go see the Flash. And I probably won't go see the Flash. Shout out to Ezra Miller and all his antics. I've gotten mixed reviews on the Flash. Some people have said that it's fire. Some people said it's trash. What we do know is that it flopped. We do know that numbers have come in and it didn't do well. It hasn't done well. But I think given the environment that was created around this movie coming out and its lead actor, I think it's to be expected. The Flashpoint story is one of the best Flash stories. So, from what I understand, they lean too much into the nostalgia part of comics, which is cool. You can do that, but you can only go so far with that. Now, McQuillan says Flash was probably the best movie of the DCEU. I can't say because I haven't seen it. I'm trying to think of another movie that maybe the DCEU by large in part has been a dumpster fire. So, I mean, to me, I hadn't seen it, but I almost want to say that is it wrong to say that Aquaman probably had the best movie out of everybody as far as the Snyderverse is concerned? And we're getting the other part. We're getting the Aquaman, the Missing or Hidden Kingdom, I think, in December. I will get around to see it. I'll get around to see it. I'll probably wait till it get to Max. I'll watch it when it gets to Max. But again, the Flash is a dope character, but that character has had issues throughout. I won't even say the characters had issues. The writers have had issues. The way they jacked up Barry Allen, has they still smarting from that. It's a very successful character, but it's a character that they have, just messed with to ad nauseum. And the fact I think Flash is like up to legacy number of 800. So yeah, Spider-Verse might come out as the number 2 movie this summer after Guardians Volume 3. Possibly. It might go. It that was an incredible movie. I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking about this the other day about Guardians and going to see Guardians 3 again because that was just a great movie, man. I really enjoyed that story. I enjoyed all those characters. Shout out to James Gunn. But they got issues, man. The DCU has more issue has more to do with trying to soften some truly hard stories. Possibly. Some of that stuff is pretty dark, to your point. They got to sell tickets. And as much as we want to see a comic book movie, we recognize that comic books don't always translate. Marvel, shout out to 1 in 100 podcast. They talked about the delays that are coming for Marvel, and Marvel cannot afford to get anything wrong going forward. That's just the truth of what's going on. And if it means setting some stuff back, reassess, redo, reshoots, whatever, then it is what it is. But going back to the DCEU or whatever, I'm waiting for James Gunn. The Spider-Verse, or the Snyderverse, I should say, has run its course. It has been a kaput. My favorite movie out of all of this, I hadn't seen The Flash, but my favorite movie has been probably Black Adam, followed by Man of Steel. And I just hate that they got rid of my guy. But they're gonna reboot Superman, so we'll see. They got so many problems going on. And it's like, okay, whatever, DC, y'all get it together. Me personally, just give me a good comic. This is 1 in 100 podcast. Blue Beetle is probably going to go crazy now since James Gunn and the character is canon to the new DC. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they decided to do that. I think, clearly that was a dollar move. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff is just like, it just smells like money, and that definitely smells like money. That's them going after the Latina and Latino dollar, and bringing it in and trying to create some merch and opportunities and that kind of stuff. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. Jaime Reyes is nothing to sneeze at. The movie looks like it's gonna be incredible. But we said that about the Flash trailer, so we'll see. I'm hoping it does well though. So I probably will go see that weekend it comes out. Flash, I'm sorry guys, just could not do it. Just could not do it. So Dion asked me, what was your thoughts on One Man Punch? Okay, so guys, I recently did a thing. And I grabbed a manga off the shelf and I read One Man Punch. And I read it in one setting, meaning that it probably took me maybe, it wasn't even an hour. Wasn't even an hour. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It has a lot of dark humor, and I'm easily amused. I really enjoyed it. It was cool. It was cool. In fact, I went back looking for the next volume, and I'm probably going to go ahead and just start reading some of that stuff and checking it out. So I enjoyed One Punch Anime. Couldn't do the manga. I mean, and that's the thing that's the thing that's so dope about manga and anime is that they feed each other, that they literally feed each other. That if you can't get with, like you say, if you can't get with the manga, you can get with the anime. If you can't really get with the anime, you can do the book. I think that's one of the cool things about it. And again, I really wanted to I was curiously wondering, what is the big deal about manga? Because people told me that, well, the story's about it. People told me about they don't have this in their books, they don't have that in their books, politics or whatever, SJW stuff, that kind of thing. It's just about the story. And with One Man Punch, I can confer that. And what I liked about One Man Punch, and particularly that manga, that the story was utterly ridiculous. Okay, it's utterly ridiculous, meaning that it's like a comic book, like a comic book should be. A comic book should be fantastical to where you're like, man, that's just crazy. That's stupid. That makes no sense. That's what comic books supposed to do. But with One Man Punch, you literally have this dude. He is literally as vanilla as you can get. He has this facial expression that is just crazy, just like he's just not bothered by anything. And he's bored because he literally beats his enemies with one punch. There is no challenge. You know, the only thing that challenges him is his boredom. And so I enjoyed that first volume of One Man Punch. I'm probably gonna pick up volume 2 pretty soon. So thoughts, okay, John Ostrander suicide squad was ahead of his time, put a heavy set black woman in the lead. Never had been done before, and she was the smartest person in the room. Yep, yep. I mean, there's some dope Amanda Waller stories too, in that run. You know, I was not a fan when they did an Amanda Waller one shot, and I guess it was supposed to be Amanda Waller in a different universe. They made her, she kind of like Halle Berry, and I'm like, saying Amanda Waller, you know what I'm saying? But they put it out there, and you know, I have it in my collection, but I'm a fan of full figured Amanda Waller. I ain't tripping on it, you know. But there's some good stories about Amanda Waller in that at a stranded run, but for real. Let's see. He says that's not true. Okay. It's filled with political, sexual, racism truths throughout a lot of the series. Well, again, I'm not saying you very well may be right, my brother, but I'm saying the book that I read, I didn't see that. And like I said, I had heard what I was hearing from people. They were saying that these things didn't exist. You're pushing back on that, and that's great. And you probably know more than I do because I don't know. But that was one of the things that people were saying that made manga better than comics. I am a comic head, and I'm going to always favor comics over manga, just because. But I kind of saw what some people were talking about just from that little small example. So Marvel should do a Black Panther manga. They probably should. They've done a Deadpool manga. I think they've done a Deadpool manga and a Wolverine manga. Has anybody gotten the recent Afro Samurai manga? I've been trying to get the original Afro Samurai manga. That thing is they want too much money for it. Too much money for it. Too much money for it. I just can't with manga paying $9.99 for black and white story. But I mean, again, Michaela, I think with that though is you get a whole volume of story. Whereas, and I get you saying, you know, black and white, that's an acquired taste. Now, me personally, I like black and white art, you know, in a comic book, you know what I'm saying? I like for example, well, it's actually technically black, white, and red, but the Darth Vader red, white, and black manga. I mean, not manga, comic book. I like that art style. I like the black and white art that they had in Black Cotton. I like black and white art. When it's done right, it's dope. But I get what you're saying though about that. Gordon says, Happy Father's Day, Rich. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you, sir. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Wouldn't Milestone or the Dakota universe work better in animation being, well, never seen live action anything? Me personally, I would want animation. I wouldn't say no to live action, but I really would want animation first. Especially with the Blood Syndicate, and some of the stuff that hardware does. I think some of the stuff that hardware does is hardcore. And so, you know, I wouldn't want too much CGI. That's why I really love animation over live action anyway. That's why, you know, if Miles Morales doesn't go live action, I will not be mad at that. I really like the animation that we got from Miles Morales. It's different. It's in its own lane. And, you know what I'm saying? There's no real comparison to the live action Spider-Man movies that they've done. You know what I'm saying? How ironic would it be that if this next Spider-Verse movie comes out and it's good, that people will say that this is the best trilogy of all the Spider-Man trilogies that have been done. And it happens to be animation. And it happens to be Miles Morales. So me personally, I want Milestone to do animation first and foremost. I don't the live action stuff is cool that they want to do that, but I really want to see static, and I really want to see Eben. I really want to see the Blood Syndicate, in animation first. They canceled the Batgirl movie, scrapped the animated Milestone movie, all for the Flash, self-proclaimed greatest superhero movie of all time to bomb. Yeah, they did. No one's talking about that, Dion. But that's what happened. And what do you say, bro? I mean, when they decided to scrap a lot of that stuff or whatever, and people they were really kind of hush about the Milestone stuff, the Milestone movie stuff. I think that we in the Black comic book community, are so used to getting dissed that it didn't even really bother us. It was kind of like, oh well, and it's unfortunate, but it's kind of how it is, man. Unfortunate. And like you said, the self-proclaimed greatest superhero movie. Shout out to Tom Cruise, who said that, among other white people. So yeah. Black nerd conspiracies and speculators. Most folk are screaming live action need to make sure that they're supporting the comics. Black characters don't get gifted and greenlit like white characters. It starts with the comics. Very true. Very true, which is why we kind of scream from the mountaintops. Please, please, please. Read the comics, buy the comics. You gotta buy the books. You gotta buy the books. It goes nowhere without that base. It is what it is. Sierra says, I'm not in the manga, but we'll give it a try. A friend of mine told me that there's a Robert Johnson blues musician manga I want. Okay, that's what's up. I might have to check into that myself. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. 1 in 100 podcast. He says they did the documentary for Milestone first to see how many of y'all would watch it. We just some guinea pigs out here, huh? How many? We just some guinea pigs. Let's see these Negroes gonna watch this documentary. Speaking of documentaries, I watched the Stanley documentary that's on Max, and it was cool. It was cool. They didn't approach the dark stuff, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because that's kind of been done, beat over like a dead horse. But it was pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Bleach is a good one if you really want to read a solid story. Okay. 1 in 100 podcast say, boy, they exposed Stan a little bit though. They did. They did. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I mean, to me, it's like the Godfather said, business. It's business. It's business. Yeah. Man, I tell you. But look, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. I really wanna. Okay, wait a minute. Deathverse says thoughts on Shin Ultraman. Old head here. Oh, okay. I am an Ultraman guy. I grew up watching Ultraman comics, that kind of thing. I posted my Ultraman books that Dwayne McDuffie wrote not too long ago. And yeah, I dig Ultraman. Matter of fact, I even like the Marvel stuff that they did, the Return of Ultraman and the Ultraman limited series. What's going on, Mr. Greavy? What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. We got the GOAT in the building, Kevin Greavy. Salute to you, sir. I'm good, man. Happy Father's Day to you. Glad you could join us. Yeah, man. But yeah, Ultraman is a dope character. I definitely have enjoyed watching a lot of Ultraman uh over the years. Luther Williams, I just watched The Flash, one of the worst DC films. It don't stop. It don't stop, y'all. I'm telling you, man. I'm like, yeah. Thank you, sir. Look, these movies that these guys try to do, they have to hype them up, and they have to like really. And I like what I think Dion said earlier. Batman couldn't save the Flash movie, and Lord knows who doesn't like Michael Keaton as Batman. You know, and that's OG Batman. That's like back in the day, Batman. And for that to fall, I'm just like, bruh, if that could not save that movie, it is what it is. I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at you, Amir. 1 in 100 podcast. It says Japan has its own heroes. Ultraman, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider. We need to distinguish our heroes as they did. Well, shout out to Brandon Easton, who just wrapped up, I think, Kamen Rider. And, I think there's nothing wrong with us consuming content that is quote unquote not for us. I think that we have to distinguish, as you said, what's for us and that kind of thing. I think that the thing about it though is that when you talk about Japan or the Far East, they kind of lead the technology. I mean, as far as the AIs, all that stuff, man. Go back and look at the Spider-Verse credits on all that stuff. Okay, it is what it is. Now, I'm just curious as to are y'all going to be now that you've seen that kind of animation, are you guys going to be spoiled and that's all you're going to want to see now? I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Okay, let's see. They tried to remake its own hero. I'm sorry, they tried to remake Flashpoint story from the comic. Should have left it alone. I mean, I guess here's the thing: if they weren't going to do that story, what story would have done? Now, me personally, I think a dope story that they could have told with Batman would be The Button. For those of you that don't know, go Google Batman and the Flash, The Button. That's a pretty dope story. They could have did that, but Flashpoint was one of those stories. That was like a standout story. And again, it's probably the animation Flashpoint that was kind of flawless, I'll say, which is why when you try certain things don't translate well in live action. I don't know. Maybe they should have left it alone, but again, it is what it is. Macron says, yeah, The Button is a good story. Yeah. And again, they lean too much into what I was told, they lean too much into the nostalgia of it. There's nothing wrong with nostalgia. I think it has its place or whatever, but at the same time, it's kind of like your main actor in the story has a lot of dirt on him, you know what I'm saying? And you really couldn't really afford to fail at this movie. And we'll see. The Ninja Turtles copied Spider-Verse style. Let's see what they do on ours. Oh, here's the thing about that, Dion. Trust and believe. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got their own fan base. And they hardcore, and they're going to support that movie. That movie's going to make a lot of bread. That's one thing. If nothing else, if of all the of some of the IPs that are out here that's doing things, whatever, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle IP, that's just been as solid as it gets. I mean, you know, they can just put out a book just randomly, and people are gonna go grab it just because they love the turtles. He says, yeah, TMT about to get that big Chibata. Yeah, they is. Yep, they people love the turtles, man. I mean, even when the turtles do stuff like they just did the cross with the what was it, the Power Rangers, when they did the stuff with Batman, they did the stuff with Batman. They crossed with Batman like 2 or 3 times. I mean, that's an IP that just print money. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, the Turtles and Power Rangers do numbers. Matter of fact, speaking of the Power Rangers, shout out to our buddy Willie Cordy Jr. Was hanging out with some of the Power Rangers, and Willie did some artwork on some of the Black Power Rangers. And man, that dude is super talented. Shout out to him, man. So he says, or the Flash could have went back in time and saved T'Challa, so these grown men will stop crying. I don't like you, Hershey. Listen. I will say this, that I think what we've been getting with Black Panther fans is what a lot of white cats feel when things like Superman get jacked up. We've never really had that issue until this last run with Ridley. Some people love Ridley's run. Now, me personally, I did not like it at all. I didn't cry about it, but, and Lord knows I tried to defend it. I kept telling Paul, give it another issue. I think I said that to Paul about maybe 7, 8 times. And at some point I was just like, man, I just can't keep telling Paul, give it another issue. But I think the run had merit, though. I think the run had merit. Now, personally, this is me. I think that his run was not as bad as Ta-Nehisi Coates' last run. I'll say that. That run, I didn't cry, but I was in my feelings. Black Panther's space was just not that was just not the lick. You know what I'm saying? To me, I want to see, as far as Black Panther, I would like someone to take Black Panther and put him back in the Savage Land. I would like to see maybe a one shot or a mini series of T'Challa in the Savage Land. Because people forget about the Don McGregor run. They like the covers of those books, but they forget about that run was amazing. But that's just me, though. That's just me. The Ridley's run was the most talked about Black run in years, regardless of how you felt about it. Yeah. He definitely had us talking about it. Yep. He definitely had us talking about it. Man, they say good. There's no such thing as bad press. All press negatively is good press. The man Batman fans stay complaining he's on the too up or too easy to defeat. Well, let me say this about Batman. Okay, I just caught up with my Batman book. I'm a Batman guy, but okay, so Batman 130 was the last book that I actually bought. Okay, and it was the issue where he fell from the moon. I just could not believe that Chip Zdarsky had Batman fall from the moon. Okay, the moon. All right. He survives falling from the moon. And so I was just like, okay, it's a little too ridiculous. So I'm gonna just chill. I don't know where this is going. And I like the fail-safe guy. I really like the fail-safe character they were using. So I got away from it for a while. And then I came back. The OG don't make me laugh. No, you don't understand. The dude fell from the moon. The moon, the we're not we're not talking about a building. We're talking about the moon. Okay, and it's so Batman that he would literally fall from the moon and just be hopeful the whole time. I mean, that was crazy to me. I had enough of the craziness, and I said, you know what, I'm done. And so recently, I went back to the shop. I said, let me go on and grab these back issues. I picked them up. I read them. I said, okay, that's my guy. So yeah, Batman falling through the atmosphere was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And see, I'm a bat, and like I said, that's my favorite character. And I like Batman when he's in Gotham doing his thing. But when they take Batman and make him do crazy, just illogical, crazy stuff, I get bothered by that. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's not my guy. That's something else. But that is what it is. What it is. So shout out to Chip Zdarsky doing his thing on Batman. But yeah, I checked out for a minute after that because I just could not get over watching Batman fall from the moon. That was too funny, man. Yeah. He said Rich is not lying. I had to put the book down. I mean, that's what it was. So it was just, that bothered a lot of people. That bothered them. I had a conversation with a white guy, and I had him literally in tears behind it because it was like, dude, this is Batman. Okay, Batman can be challenged. You take his money, he gonna find a way. You take his stuff, but see, Batman, like T'Challa, is his mind is his biggest weapon. But what do you do for the moon? There's no logic behind that, okay? But it is what it is. And what's so funny is in issue 135, there's a quote of him saying that he's falling from something. I don't know if it was a building or what, but he says he's thinking, I fell from the moon, I'll survive this. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, man. So that's what's up. Batman is God despises. So, let's be real, he's superpowered. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why I love Batman, because apart from just watching him when I was a kid, watching the Batman show and all that, and collecting comics and all the stories, there's not a shortage of Batman stories that are just amazing. There's a new matter of fact, there's a new movie. It's not on Max yet, but it's based on an Elseworld story. And man, that dude just don't miss. That's all I can say. DC Elseworld, some of the best stories ever. Absolutely. Well, look, guys, I got to get out. Wait a minute. It says, what is the disruptor to the comics industry like Netflix to the movie industry? What is the disruptor to the comics industry like Netflix to the movie industry? Good question. I almost want to say the Rippaverse. Because you trust and believe Marvel and DC ain't happy about Derek July getting that money like he getting. But seriously though, that's a hard question. because to me, the industry is antiquated. And whenever we're talking about like situations with, Steve Ditko, his family being sued by Marvel so they can keep the rights to certain characters, that tells you that tells you all you need to know about how doggy dog the industry is, and how a lot of these creatives, they die broke. Rest in peace to John Romita Sr. just passed, who didn't die broke, thank God. But a lot of these guys don't get those same opportunities. But to Dion's point, the answer is manga. Manga is challenging for that, but I don't think that. Here's the thing: comics have been around since the 40s, right? And you're talking about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Trinity for DC. You're talking about Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, a few others. There's a core group in both, but for DC, it's the Trinity: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, followed up by Flash, Green Lantern, all that, right? And they've been around for a few generations. And so, people's fathers and grandfathers read comics. And so we're coming to an age where things are shifting. The climate is shifting, the culture is shifted. And so things like manga are fresh. And it's almost like another thing altogether, which is what it is. I think that comics will be around. I just don't think that they'll be around in the capacity that there are now. Like manga. Manga is forcing comics to do graphic novels, or to do trades, or to go digital. I think they're forcing the market in that way. I don't think that there's necessarily a disruptor other than that. Okay, I can get this whole volume of books for $10, right? Cheaper than what it would cost me to get a graphic novel, which is 17, 18, sometimes $30. And kids don't care about art like we do. They just don't. They don't have an affinity for it. They could, I was in the comic book shop today, and there were some kids in there, and they were with their father, and he was kind of, I think, trying to show them some John Romita Jr. stuff, or John Romita Sr. stuff. They don't know who John Romita Sr. is. A lot of these kids don't know who George Perez is. Some of these kids don't know who Alex Ross is, because they're not reading comics. They're reading manga. They could care. They're not, you go to a con, there isn't a artist alley. There's not a big artist gallery, or artist alley, I should say, for manga artists. It just doesn't. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. According to this, trades and graphic novels are not a bad thing, though. They make it easy for new comic book fans, in my opinion. Exactly, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to recruit they're trying to recruit the new market, because I've said this before, that a lot of the old white guys that have been reading comic books for 40, 50 years, they're dying. That market is dying. So they have to sell their books to somebody. And their kids are not always into comics like they are. They're into manga. They're into anime. It is what it is. A lot of our children, they're not into comics like we are. They are into manga. They're into anime. They're into gaming. And in some cases they don't know. They'll pick up a Batman game but won't pick up a comic book, because that's how they consume the art. It just depends. I mean, it's a lot of ways to consume nerd content. So y'all seen the graphic novel section at Barnes and Noble lately compared to manga? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It says the stories in manga matter. The characters grow and die. There are consequences. There it is. There's no resurrection, huh? It is, guys. Now let me get this last one from Herschel. These grown men, babies, still complaining that Milestone ain't back yet. Yeah, a lot of folks don't read comics and aren't aware of anything. I can halfway get with that. I think the truth is Milestone needs a movie or a anime cartoon to kind of be to infuse an interest in the what is it, the spectrum of comics or whatever, or the nerdum or whatever. They need something that is commercialized, that people can look at and point to generate interest. Because right now they don't have that. Right now, the interest that they do have, I don't necessarily believe that they got a new crop of static fans. The static fans that are buying the static books are the guys that were originally buying static books. I have not met a teenager or a young person say, I like static because of this static 2.0. It's been the old heads, which is why the old heads are complaining. To generate new interest, it takes cartoons. It takes, it is what it is. That's to give you an idea. Yesterday, I kind of, for like 2 hours, I sat in my office and I watched Fat Albert cartoons on YouTube. The original Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids with the Brown Hornet. I sat in my office for 2 hours and watched reruns of Fat Albert. And I was just sitting there, just chilling, enjoying this thing that I had from my childhood, that I was maybe 6 or 7 years old when it came out. Here I am at 55, still being able to enjoy it. That's the kind of thing that Milestone needs. A lot of us are not going to go buy the books just because there's not enough interest generated. But visual medium like animation or live action will be just what we need. But will the check writers at Marvel, the check writers at DC and at Milestone do that? They just canceled the movie. So it's not good. I think you're going to always have complaints, unfortunately. If it weren't for the static cartoon, I probably wouldn't be a fan. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's just kind of what it is. Damon says, I was introduced to Batman by Michael Keaton and loved the Bat ever since. When I got into Marvel, it was the mutant side, but needed the movies to appreciate Iron Man and the Avengers. Absolutely. I think you're preaching to the choir, Damon. It is what it is. People need to be able to see. It's kind of like I said earlier. If you build it, they will come. It's not until you build it will they come. The casual is not going to come if you don't build it. It's unfortunate. I don't like it, but that's just how it goes. I agree, Rich. They need a movie or cartoon. Comics are the Bible. TV and movies are the megachurch. Yeah, pretty much. Yo, man, it's 10 o'clock. I got to get out of here. So please, guys, as a reminder, we do have a lot of content for you guys to consume. Next week, we have our part 2 interview with Ken Quattro, who wrote Invisible Men. Look forward to that. That's going to be a fun time. Ken is a great guy. Me and Derek had a great time talking to him and Paul. So he's going to be back with us next Sunday, which means that, Real Talk Rich will not be back until the week after. But we will be chopping it up with Ken and talking about some more Black creatives from the 1940s who, you know, some of these stories, guys, I got to tell you, some of the stuff that these guys went through and dealt with and lived, how they lived, unbelievable. It had to be, you had to write about it for it to believe it. It had to be, some of the stuff is just unbelievable. Hey, but that was history. You learn a lot talking to Ken. Ken's a great guy, and he shares a lot of insight into what our elders, creators went through when they were writing stories and writing on books like Blue Beetle or like Matt Baker, basically causing the or being responsible for the Comics Code Authority because he was basically you know, J. Scott Campbell of his time. Yo, apart from that, you know, check out our content, Wakanda Whiskey and Blurtle. You usually get that on Friday nights. Paul will be back soon, getting that ramped up with him and Mark. And of course, we have Our Ladies Live. They're getting ready to do a show, I think, coming up pretty soon as well. And we talked through a lot of different interviews. We've done a lot of interviews with a lot of different creatives, whether we're talking about Morgan Hampton, who's doing Cyborg right now, Lonzo Starr, who's the chief over at Concrete, Evan Narcisse, who's doing this thing right now, and Charles Stewart. So, you know, and of course, our stuff that we did with Rodney Barnes' Philadelphia, whether it was the spec show. We got a lot of content, guys, and there's a lot of stuff that you can go to our YouTube channel and check out all of this stuff. You know, if you're a Stranger Comics fan and you like Niobe, check out the interview that me and Tamiko did with Sebastian. And, you know, Dr. John Jennings, who will be back with us shortly because Ghostlight, Silver Circle of Ghostlight is getting ready to wrap up. So we'll be talking to him pretty soon about that as well. And yeah, so that's what we have available. And that is what we are going to close out with this part. Support your favorite comic current series by pre-ordering before your final cutoff date. Go and get you a pull list. You only need like 5 books. There's something on the comic book shelves for you to read. You just got to go and invest the time and energy to go make it happen. Get your books cheaper than cover price, and all of those wonderful variants that you see sometimes we post up or whatever, getting it for regular price versus waiting and seeing us post it up and then having to pay 30, 40, 50% what the cover price is because, you know, you waited too late to get it. So no better time than the present. With that being said, let me get to the benediction. The Bible says in 103rd of the 103 Psalm, verse number 13, as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those that fear him. From the stronghold that is Black Comic Lords and Black Superheroes Forever, it's your boy Rich. We enjoyed you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Please like this video. Please share, subscribe. And until next time, we bid you peace. We'll see you later. Take care of yourself and each other. We out.